Good morning, everyone. How are we doing? And welcome to another session of tech classes with Inox Hub. And I hope we've been enjoying the previous classes so far. Okay, I'm sure today's class will not be an exception. We'll gain a lot, we'll learn a lot as we've been learning in previous classes. So let me just wait for a few seconds for more people to join. Okay, all right, let's start with today's class. So today we are going to talk about Excel functions, formulas, and lookups. Excel functions, formulas, and lookups. I'm very certain, I'm confident that we know what Excel is and we know about Excel. We know what Excel does and we know what we use Excel to do, right? So we'll be moving to Excel functions, formulas, and lookups. And yes, I'm sure we know how to use the Excel interface. We know how to use some basic things in Excel. Okay, so today we'll be talking about Excel functions, formulas, and lookups. All right, so this is the aim and these are the objectives of the class. Okay, let's start without wasting further time. Let's start with definition of the terms. What do we know as Excel? What do we know as formula? What is formula? What is Excel formula? So from here, my formula is that my definition is that a formula is an expression created by the user. A formula is an expression created by user. In the sense that when you are talking about formula in Excel, it is a user created calculation that you is a user created calculation is like an expression, and most times when you want to define a formula, it is always containing a formula contains maybe numbers, cell references, and then something that is going to an operation. It can be multiplication, it can be division, it can be addition, it can be a plus, it can be minus, it can be multiplication, division. Let me give an example. Okay, when you want to define a formula, when you want to write a formula in Excel, you have to go in with your equal to. You have to start with your equal to, right? So let's just do something. Let me just write an expression as equal to. When you write equal to, it will Excel will automatically know that okay, what you want to put in is either a formula or a function. So now equal to 2 times 2. So enter. You can see that it returned 4. This is a formula this is just an expression that I created, that I just wrote down. If it is 2 plus 2, 2 plus 2, can you see that I returned 4? Let's just do 2 plus 2, 2 divided by 8, or 8 divided by 2. You can see. So this is basically what a formula is. And formulas are not usually in the form of numbers. You can use cell references as your you can use cell references instead of numbers. Okay, let's say we want to add um the fair, or maybe we want to multiply this and this, or let me just use this one. We want to multiply the SIBSP here, that's G9 by J9. So now let's do that. The first thing we'll do is that we'll go in with our equal to J9. Can you see? I referenced this cell. Then we'll go in with our multiplication sign. Then this G9. So enter. So you can see that it performed the operation. So that's basically what a formula is. It's just like an expression created by user. So you can see our example here, A1 plus B1. Okay, so function on the other hand, function is basically a predefined operation in Excel. It's a predefined operation in the sense that it is an inbuilt calculation that performs a specific task. Okay, for formula, we just created an expression. Okay, this one plus this times this, A1 times B2, something like that. That's how formula works. But function is you just go in with the function name, right? So when you go in with your function name, when you type your function name, it knows that okay, Excel will know that okay, when you write your sum, what it does is that it's going to add it. When you write your average, okay, average of this is going to find the average. There's a formula for average. Formula for average, that's average mean you add everything together divided by the number. Let's assume we want to find the average of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 now. So we can just say that the average will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. That's 15 divided by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 divided by 5. That's how to find the average, right? So that's 15 divided by 5. Average is the same thing as mean. We should know that. So average function, when you go in with your okay average, it's Excel will know that okay, I'm meant to perform this calculation, and then it's going to perform the calculation and return your answer. It's basically a predefined operation in Excel. It has been predefined that okay when you put in this will come out. When you write your function, this is what your function is to perform a specific task. Do we get? So it's different from formula that you just put okay a when you say this equal to, if you want to go in with our formula now for the let's say addition, J9 plus G3 abi G9, enter. So you can see this is what is returned. But when you want to use your function, go with our equal to, so you use sum, right? So then can you see that they are basically what the reason why I use this function, I use the sum function to perform the addition, and then it returned the same thing, because when you this sum function is already in Excel, it has been programmed that when you put in sum, it's going to add whatever you put there. So that's basically how functions and that's basically what functions and formulas are. Okay, so we have different formulas in Excel. Okay, one peculiar thing about function is that function actually has, or all functions have their unique syntax. There's something we call syntax. Okay, there's something we call syntax. It's basically the order your function, what you should input in your function, right? The order they should follow. Now let's use this sum as an example. Equal to, and yes, before you when you want to define your function too, you start with an equal to. Let me show you something. 2 times 2. Can you see? I did not use my equal to, enter. Can you see that it's considered this as an input on its own. But when you use your equal to, when you start with an equal to, right? So, so you can see that it saw it as a function. So it saw it as a formula. So function must always start with a formula. And then all functions have syntax. Let's start with the sum that I used earlier. Sum function. So when you want to use a function, yeah, you should know the function you want to use. Obviously, okay, we want to use sum function now. So you can either, when you type it, you can either press your tab or open brackets, or can just SU, can see that there is sum here, you can just click it. So anyway, your sum function will come up. Okay, so the syntax for this sum now is sum, then open bracket, number one, that means the first number you want to sum, comma, the second number, comma, right? Can you see it here? Sum, let's say our first number is this, yeah, comma. Can you see that this is the syntax? Sum, number one, then comma, then your number two, maybe this, then comma, number three, this, comma, and so on. If you put in your comma, you put another thing, comma, you put another thing. So that is the syntax for sum. If it's only two, you just go in with your two, and then when you want to end it, you close your brackets. So that's how functions work generally. Okay, they have their specific syntax. The syntax for sum is different from the syntax of another thing. Okay, let's just say count. If you want to use count function, okay, start with equal to count. So can you see that the syntax for count is not entirely the same thing as that of sum. Yes, and then if too. Can you see that if the syntax for if is also different? So each functions have their syntax and then they work based on the syntax. You cannot use the syntax for some function for if function. You are going to be doing something very wrong. All right, so let's move. So let's start with some functions that we work with. The very first one I want to talk about here is left, right, and mid function. These functions, what they do basically is that they extract text from a string. They extract something from, okay, I'll use this one, this extract, to explain it. This is our customer ID. So now you can see that it's CUST001, CUST002, CUST003, and so on and so on and so on and so on and so on. So now, do you know that we can extract this CUST from the CUST001? This these functions, this left, right, and mid, they just extract something from a particular string, right? Or from a particular from something from another input, right? Okay, it works for dates too. It works for dates. Let's start with this CUST001. Now let's extract the CUST first. So you know the CUST, we are counting it from the left. So that's CUST. That's we need to extract the first four from the left. So you go in with your equal to, then left, can see, returns the specified number of characters starting from returns the specified number of characters from the start of a text string. Can you see? Okay, that's what it does. That's what this left function does. Now, okay, let me use tab. The text is this. This is the text that I want to extract the um that I want to extract something from. So what's the next thing from our syntax after your text is your comma? Then the number of characters, that's 1 2 3 4, extracting the first four, so that's 4, then close your brackets. So can you see that it's already extracted the CUST? So that's how the left function works. Yeah, so another thing, this is for the left, and then if you want this to happen to everything, I explained this in the previous class, you click on the border line and then you double click, you make sure your arrow is on the border, and then you double click, so it has worked for everything here. Okay, so now let's extract this 001, because this one is from the right, it's from the last, from the end, right? So we are going to use our right function. What to write, then can you see it returns the specified number of characters from the end of a text string. So we want to extract the last three, 001, 002, 015, 029, and blah blah blah. So now So the text is this, right? So now the next thing we'll go in with will be our comma. Then the number of characters is 3. Then close brackets, then enter. So you can see that it returned 01. Can you see everything here? So you can see that it returned last three, the last three characters in our reference cell. And okay, what if we now want to get only maybe ST00, right? It's not starting from the front and it's not starting from the back. So that's when we use our mid function. So equal to mid function. So it returns characters. This is what it does. It returns characters from the middle of a text string, given a starting position and length. So now mid tab, then the text is this text, then comma, the start number. Can you see that the syntax for this one is different from the ones we've been using? So the start number here is, we're actually starting from the left. We are counting it like 1 C1 U2 S3 T4 05 06 17. So we need ST and 00. So that's 1 2 3. So our start number is 3. We're starting from 3. Then comma again, the number of characters, that's 1. We need ST00. So that's 1 2 3 4. Then 4. Then close your brackets. So you can see that it's done ST00 for others. Okay. Yeah, you can see this is ST00, ST00, then ST0001. This is ST01. Can you see that that's what it did for everything? Okay, so that's how it works. So I will give us, you should do it for the date function, right? I don't want to explain it. For this one, just use it to practice. So try extracting 2023 from this date using the either left, right, or mid function. Extract this 2023, extract 11, and extract 2024. And yes, this slash is a character. If there is a space there, is a character. You count it as a character. Like if it is 2 4 space FST, then hyphen 1 2 3. If Excel wants to count the number of characters here, to count this 2 1 4 2 space 3 F4 S5 T6, then this hyphen 7 2 8 4 9. So that's how Excel works. So that means what I'm trying to explain is that this slash is also a character. So take note of that and then work on it. So another thing is len is a function that is used to count the number of characters. So let's use it. Let me just explain it briefly. Equal to, when you want to define a function, obviously equal to, then len tab. So the text we want to count is this, then close your bracket and enter. So you can see that it is 7 characters that we have here. Let's do the same thing for this st00, len, then open brackets, then close brackets, enter. So can you see that it's returned 4? Basically, the len just counts the number of characters. You see that st00, that's 4 characters. This one has 7. So that's what the function does basically. So there is really no big deal about it, but it is useful. There is no function that is useless in Excel. Okay. So another text function we want to talk about is concat. So it combines text from multiple cells, in the sense that we can get our CUST 001 back. Like we can combine these two together to form CUST 001. I'll give us that as an assignment, or you can just try it from your end, right? So let me adjust the size of this too. Okay, they gave us surname and they gave us first name. do you know that from this we can actually get our full name using concat function? Because concat will combine text from multiple cells, right? So you can see Jerry, Jerry Eze. So going with our equal to, want to concatenate this and this. Okay, concat. Can use concat, you can use concatenate. So let's just go with concat. Then the text one, can you see that the syntax is text one? The text one is surname Jerry, then comma. The text two is Eze. Now you see what is going to happen here. You see one peculiarity about this concat. So that's, you close your bracket. Can you see that it brought the Jerry and Eze together. Jerry Eze. But when you are using your concat, it is very advisable to define space since we want it to be since we want a space between Jerry and Eze. And then I think I've said this before, that if you want to define something, okay, maybe I've said it, maybe I've not said it before in the previous class. If you want to define something and it's not a cell reference, it is not number. If it is a text format, right, you use, or any other thing that is not number, that is not cell reference, you go in with your quotation mark, right? So A2, then quotation mark, space, space, then close it, then comma. I don't know if you get what I just did. Let me explain it very well. All right, so let me just explain what I did here. Concat, if assuming I want to start this from the start, right? Concat, then A2, that's Jerry, then space. I put a quotation mark, then I put space inside. That means after A2, whatever is in the quotation mark will come up. Then comma B2. So that means this is our text 2, this is our text 3 from our formula. So yeah, and then let's drag it. Let's do this for everything. So you can see this, it happened, it worked for all of them. So now, do you know that to from this we can get our email using concat too? But let's do that after we use the trim function. Okay. Yes, so now there's another text function we have is lower, upper, and proper. I'll just explain this briefly. Let's start with the lower. Let me remove this first. Let me put it here. Email. So I won't forget. All right. So equals to, if you want all these things to be in lower cases like small letter, you use your lower function. If you want it to be in capital letter, use your upper function. And if you want it to be in proper case, in the sense that the first word of the first word will be in the first word of everything, of all the inputs, right, to be in capital letter, that's proper. So now equal to lower, let's start with the lower. So you can see convert all letters in text string to lowercase. So click on it, then the text, can you see the syntax? This one is not hard. Lower, then text, then close bracket. Enter. Can you see that it returned Jerry Eze? So now let's do for upper. For this one, upper, convert all text string to upper case letters. So this, then close bracket, enter. So can you see that it returned everything to capital letter? Then proper, convert text string to uppercase, the first letter in each word to uppercase, and all other letters to lowercase. So this and close bracket. So can you see that it's converted everything to proper case? All right, so that's what this that's what the upper, lower, and proper, that's basically their function. So let's just use proper for everything. Okay, so let's bring this down. All right, so we have this. Now another thing is trim function. Trim function, what it does is that it removes extra spaces, the unwanted spaces. Can you see this space in front of this queen? Can you see spaces that are not needed? So what trim function does is that it removes extra spaces. The middle of this Jerry and Eze too, there might be unnecessary spaces. I think the space here is more than one. So what trim function does is that it removes unwanted spaces. So equal to trim, then tab this. Want to trim this, close our brackets, then you can see that it has been trimmed. Then let's drag it down. So you see, this is what trim function does. So now, before I forget, let's use concatenate to get the email of these people, right? Okay. So email is always in small letters. This is just like basically like an abstract. Okay, so let's just convert everything here to small letters. Okay. Before we do that, let me clear all this here. Then okay, escape. Let me first clear everything here. I'm sure we understand. This is a way to think clear is here. Clear also. Okay. So now we want to get their email. Let's first um let's first turn everything to lower, or we can work like that without converting to the lower case. Okay, so equal to concatenate. Email is always in the form of your two names at email.com or at gmail.com. Concat, or you can use concatenate, anyone you want. Join several text string into one. Okay. All right. So concat, then text one is this. Okay. We have to trim everything. Let's trim it first. Trim, because there are some spaces, and email does not take extra space. Okay, trim this one. Enter. So now let's do it for everything here. Also trim in case we have spaces here too. Easy. Okay, then bring everything down. Okay, so now concatenate. Text one is, let's say it is okay, this one, comma, text two is this, then comma, the text three will now be at gmail.com. That will be Jerry Eze, or see, okay, that will be Jerry Eze at gmail.com. So you put it in quotation mark, at gmail.com. So close your bracket and then enter. So you can see that it's already brought out the email. Okay, let's bring it down. So what this one, we actually don't like it, because let's just convert everything to small letter, to lower, then this, enter, then let's bring it down. Okay, so can you see our email now? So this is basically what concat does. Right, so we have, the last one is substitute. What substitute function does is that it just substitutes. Okay, you want, so anywhere you see the old one, you put in your new. You might not be working with that, but let me just show you. So substitute, Alright, can you see it replaces existing text with a new? So let's check the syntax. So the text, that means the what you want to substitute, right? Then the old, that's the then you go with your comma. The old one, what the text is basically like, okay, if you want the text is here, then the old text you write it down. Okay. Right, the text is where your text is. The old text is what you want to substitute. New text is what you what you want to substitute with. Okay, and then note that when you have a formula, if or a function rather, if it is in curved brackets, that means it's really not important. It's not necessary. Your function can work without it. But if it's not in a curved bracket, that means without it, your function cannot work. All right, so let's move on. Arithmetic functions. We have basic arithmetic functions. Actually, we have a lot of text functions, but then these are the basic ones. There are other ones. So I will advise you to make your research and find them out, because you might need some of them that I did not mention. So now let's work with arithmetic function. The first one is sum. I already did something with sum. So now let's assume we want to sum everything in this age, right? Okay. Equal to sum, then tab this, then you can go with your control shift down. Control shift. The reason why it's breaking like this is because of space, the spaces, unnecessary spaces that are there. Okay, enter. So this is the sum of everything here. Do you so can you see I explained something about the status bar one time. So can you see that the status bar showed us the sum, and then when you use our sum function, same thing. Same thing goes for average. Let's check our average. Average the just average, then it returns the average. That's the arithmetic mean of arguments. Okay, enter. So you can see that this is our average, right? You can see that it's the same thing here. So we also have counts. It will count the cells that are there. Okay, okay, I should not have done this, but then okay, let's use count for this SIBSP. Equal to count. It counts the number of cells in a range that contain numbers. Okay, so counts, you can use your value one, value two. What I did was that, since instead of just counting this, or for the sum clicking this all the values, it will take time. So since they are all together, they are arranged together, you can just select everything. So count this, the first one, click on the first one, then shift control down. So so you can see that it's returned 891, right? So let's check. So you see 891. So that's what counts does. Then we also have minimum and maximum. So that's minimum. So of the minimum of this GSIBSP is 0. So let's check the maximum. Max. So the maximum is 8. Do we get? So that's what all these things do. That's what basically we have many arithmetic functions, but then these are the ones that just take note of this. We have standard deviation too. ST, this is standard deviation, STDev, and we have a lot of arithmetic functions. You can find out about them. And since I've already laid the foundation, it's going to be way easier for you. Okay, basic statistical functions, like okay, these ones are like conditioned. It's still the same thing as average, if as average, but then there's a condition that okay, average, if let's say we want to find the average of ages of people that are more than 50 now, That means we are not considering everything. So that's, or let's use this fear, since I think there are no missing values here. So let's just use fair. So those that, let's say those that they are fair, they paid less than 20. Now let's find the average. So average, that's average. Since there's a condition, we're going to use average if. So now the range is the range of everything we are checking is this, shift control down, then comma. Let's just work here. The criteria next. So the criteria is less than, is this okay, this is less than 20. Then average range, we actually don't need that, so let's just leave this, then enter. Okay, let me okay, we are to put this in quotation mark. All right, so the average of everything, of all the people, that the reason why that it showed error was that this condition, we are meant to put, I'm meant to put it in the criteria, I'm meant to put it in a quotation mark. So the average of those people that are less than two, that are less than 20, right, is okay. Control Z, please. Okay, so the average of those people that are less than 20, of the transport, of the fare of those that are less than 20 is this. Now let's find the sum. We can also use sum if too. There's sum if, or let's use count if. Count. This, I don't want to um I don't want to write everything again because it's basically almost the same syntax. So yeah. So now the count of those that are less than 20 for this fare is 515. So that's how these things work. We also have std. I already talked about it. That's the standard deviation, and this is the syntax, the standard deviation of what do you want. Okay, stdev. We have different stdev, right? We have stdev a, stdev. Okay, let's just use based on the entire population. Actually, we have this stdev p is basically like if you are working with this one, we are going to use stdev p because p means you are working with a population in the sense that you are working with the entire data set. This one now, this data set is the entire data set of all the people that were in the Titanic, right? So it's not like they took a sample out. So this is the whole population. But this stdev s is for sample. See, for sample, in the sense that let's assume we are finding standard deviation of maybe you are performing analysis on people in in a school. I know, let's say like a school like that, there are 100, maybe 30,000 in the school. You cannot work on all the data sets. You can just get sample of maybe 200 people and work on. So that one is a sample, it's not the population. So that's the difference between these two types of standard deviation. All right, so let's move. We have date and time function. Now let's move on. There are other statistical functions. Please make research on them. So now date functions. The reason why this is showing hash is because the space is too small. So I'm sure we know how to increase the width. So yeah, can you start to increase the width? The the input started showing perfectly well. So now let's start with today function. What today function does is that it returns the date of that particular day. So now equal to today. So it does not really have a syntax like that. Just today, open bracket and close it. So open bracket, then close it again. So you can see that 31/10/2024. Actually, when we are recording this video, the date I am recording this video is 31/10/2024. can confirm from this place. See 21, 10, 2024. That's what today function does. But now function, it returns the current date and time together. So equal to, let's do that. Equal to time. So it's okay. Oh, sorry. Now, rather, now then close bracket enter. So you can see 1956, 1956, 31, 10, 2024, 21, 10, 2024. Okay, so that's what the now function does. All right. So the next one is year function, right? Let me explain year function. Year function, it just extracts the year from a specific date. Now let's work that equal to year. Let's we want to know the year of this date. So you can see returns the year of a date. All right, so tab, then the syntax is just going with your serial number, then close your bracket. So you can see that the year of this is 2023. Bring everything down to do the same thing for everything there. So now that's what year function does. For month function too, it is the same thing, but it returns the month. So month, then open brackets, this, then close bracket enter. So you can see 11. Actually, the month is at the middle here. The reason why why do we know is that you can see 11, 24 can never be a month. So 11 will be the month, right? And 2023 cannot be the month. If you drag it down, it will work for everything. So now let's get the day. We are going to use the day function. Then open bracket, the serial number, this, then close bracket. So can you see that it's returned the day? So that's we have. These are some of the date and time functions. Please make sure you make research on other date and time functions. Okay, we are moving on to logical functions, right? So what logical function is, just like it performs, it works based on it checks for a criteria and checks if it is true or it is not true. Let's start with, let's use this. Now let's know if the person has PARCH. Okay, let's start with if function. Now let's say we want to know if the person is actually, if the person does not have maybe parents and children. So if the person has, let's say we want it to return not alone, and if the person does not have, it should return alone. So now what to if is if function we use for that. Let me come again. If we want to check if this PARCH is zero, that means person, this PARCH means number of parents and children that are in the Titanic. So if it is zero, that means the person obviously came without parents and without children, just entered alone. All right. So if it is zero, that means the value should, it will show the value. Okay. All right. So if the PARCH is zero, it should return alone. But if it is not zero, then it should return not alone. So now we use if function, then go with our tab. The logical test here is PARCH equal to zero. For this one, we have no need to put it in the quotation mark. Then value if true. The value if true, we want it to return um if it is true, it should return alone, alone. Then if it is not true, value if true, comma, then if it is not true, it should return not alone. Then close your bracket. So you can see that this one is zero alone. Let's drag it down. So you can see this is not alone, and then this not alone, alone, not alone, alone, not alone. So that's what if function does. Now let's move to and. And function, it brings two functions, two conditions together, right? It brings two criteria together. So now let's just use it here. Equal to and. For and, you don't need to define what it should say if it is true or not. It will return true or false. So now, and the logical test one. Okay, okay, I'm sorry. And function does not actually need, is not multiple. It does not need multiple conditions, right? You can see it from this formula. You can see from this that the logical test one is compulsory. The logical test two is actually not compulsory because it's in a square bracket. Okay, let me put it here. Let me do it here. So equal to and then the logical test is this SIB, okay, PARCH equal to 0. Then close your bracket. So if it is true, it will return true. If the condition has been met, it will return true. And if it has not been met, it will return false. So let's bring it all down. You can see that false, 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 false. And you can use and to join two conditions together in the sense that, okay, see, H9 is equal to 0. Then another logical test is if, okay, now let's work with this. Let's work with this here. So equal to and, okay, so and open brackets, then let me use tab. The logical test one is if this is equal to 0, then comma. The logical test two is if SIBSP. SIBSP means siblings and spouse. If it is one, that means the person has one person that is either a sibling or spouse. If it is two, three, four, then SIBSP equal to 0, 2. So that means true, the person is alone. Then close brackets. So consider false. The reason why it is false is that when you say and, that means the two conditions have to be met. This is 1, this is 0. Just one met it. So that's why it will return false, right? The only time it will return true is if both of them met the condition. You can see 0, 0. True. You can see 0, 0. Do we get? So that's one thing about and function. But all function too is basically the same thing as and, but the difference is that or function, if just one of the condition has been met, it is going to return true. The two conditions don't have to be Control C. Let me just copy and paste this. Then okay. Oh wow. Let me paste it as alright. Okay. This is not working. Alright, so we cannot copy and paste it actually. Okay. Okay, one thing about or function is that for and, if it is multiple conditions, can be two and it can be more. If just one condition was met, if it is and, if one out of two or three was met, it will return false. All of them have to be met. But if it is or, if it's only one condition that has been met, it is going to, if only one condition was met, right, it's going to return it as true. So far one, even if it is 1,000 conditions, if just one was met and others were not met, it will return true. So equal to or let's start with this equal to 0, then logical test 2, G2 equal to 0, then close your bracket. So you can see that this one is true because one of them actually met the condition, so it will return it as true. But if it is and, it will return it as false because not both of them met the condition. So that's the difference between and or. So if and or, they perform logical function. And then there's something we call ifs. When you see s in front of if, that means the condition is more than one. That's why you can see some ifs count ifs, average ifs, and then there's ifs alone. So all these things, what they do is just that they check for, they don't use one condition, they use multiple conditions and multiple criteria, multiple logical tests. All right, so let's just look at lookups. What lookups basically do is that they search for a value in a table. And then we have three types of lookups. We have VLOOKUP, we have HLOOKUP, and then we have XLOOKUP. We're going to be working on VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP, VLOOKUP alone. So let me just copy this. Oh, sorry, Control C, Control C. Okay, okay. So we have this, right? Okay, let me remove. I think I should clear. Okay, let's just continue working. We have this one. So these people, we want to know the fare they paid, right? We want to know how much they paid. So we use lookup. What lookup does is that it will search for a value in a table. So now let's go in with our syntax. And then we have VLOOKUP. VLOOKUP searches vertically because this one we are searching like this. The fare is here, you're searching fare vertically, and then what we are looking for is vertical. Do we get? So but HLOOKUP, if you are searching horizontally, you use HLOOKUP. If your table is in like okay, maybe survived here and then you have 0 1 0 1 0 1 0 1, you have P class 3 1 2 3 1 2 blah blah blah. Then SIBSP maybe 1 0 2 3 4. If it is in this format like horizontal format, use HLOOKUP. If you are looking for something horizontally, use your HLOOKUP. But if you are looking for something vertically, use your VLOOKUP. As name implies, vertical lookup. So if there's another one called XLOOKUP. XLOOKUP is actually more is easier is easier than VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP in the sense that it does the work of both VLOOKUP and XLOOKUP together. And it's the life XLOOKUP is more flexible than HLOOKUP and XLOOKUP. Do we get? But VLOOKUP is restricted to only vertical, H is restricted to only horizontal. Okay, you can find out about XLOOKUP. So let's just work with VLOOKUP now. So we want to find the fare that these people paid. All right, so we'll go with our equal to, then VLOOKUP, then open, go with your tab. So the lookup value, this is the syntax for lookup. So you have to be very careful. This is the syntax. The lookup value is this. This is what we are looking for. Then comma. The table array means you're going to like select something like okay equal to VLOOKUP. The lookup value this, then table is array is basically like okay, we are looking for this particular thing from which table. You are going to select something like a table, right? Okay, and then when you want to, you are going to select like a group of data sets. And when you want to select, there's something peculiar to VLOOKUP is that you cannot search for name. If you anything you are searching for, what you have, right? We are looking for the fare that these people paid. So what we know should actually be at the top right, at the top left, right? So if you want to select your table, you are going to select starting with this name, and then you're going to select it, and then you'll be moving towards the right. Do we get? If we start selecting from this P class, it won't give us the right output. In fact, it will even show you error. Do we get? So this you are going to start your selection from the name because we have our name. So now we are looking for fear. Another thing is that the name, what we know, the known must come before the unknown, right? The known must be at the left side, then the unknown must be at the right side. So you can see you select name, then you can select everything, but then since it's fair we are looking for, we can stop here. So this is our table array, right? I selected everything from this name to fear. Do we get? Can select it to cabin, to embarked, I don't know, but the first thing must be this name. So that's our table array. Do we get? Then comma, those are the conditions with lookup, with VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP. Yes. So then comma, the column index number. This column index number means what number of column from the start of your table array do you want it to return? Okay, if you want it to return the sex, you just say this name is 1, this sex is 2. So that means if you write 2 there, if you put in 2 as your column index number, it's going to return the sex, but then it's the fear we want. So that means this is 1. If you want to return the age, you just go in with 1, 2, 3. This is the column index number is 3. Can you see name is 1, sex 2, age 3. So we want the column index number, we want this fair. So let's count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it is 7. Then the range lookup. What this range lookup is that it will is it the exact is the exact match you want or approximate. That means approximate means is not the if it is approximate is not exactly like it, but then it looks like it. So it will return it. That means what we are looking for. Maybe if it's number now, if you put 7.99999 and the other one is 8, so it can just approximate it. Do you get? And then if it is text, if it looks like it will return it as like if you want it to if something looks like it should just return it as it should use it like that. But then what we want is the exact. So for exact is 0, right? For approximate is 1. Do we get? So now shift then close your bracket, enter. So you can see that 53.1 foot FUT. So you can see that the fear is 53.1. Can you see that it is correct? So now let's just drag it down. Then okay. The reason why this is showing NA is because there's nothing here. That means it is wrong. Control Z. Okay, so let me use my this to drag it down here. Okay, so that is it. So this is the fear for this part for these people. So that's how VLOOKUP works. And VLOOKUP and HLOOKUP, they actually have the same syntax, just that one is vertical and then one is horizontal. Okay, so with this, if you have questions for me, please do well to drop them at the comment section and they'll be answered. Okay, can just drop the questions, all your questions at the comment section, and then I will answer them and get answers to them in case you have questions that you really can't remember now. All right, so let us do well to have a wonderful day, and please make sure you go over this again. Make sure you go over this again and work practice. You can always get data sets from Cargo. The data set I used, I got them from Cargo. This particular Titanic data set, I got it from Cargo. This one, I got this one from a data set. I extracted just the date. I got the whole data set from Cargo. All right, so let's do well to have a wonderful day.